Good morning, kids. Today's mission on this lovely sunny day is to replace the brake fluid on Willow, front and rear. According to the handbook, it should be done every 2 years. Willow's about 3.5 years old and it hasn't been done. So I'm going to do a video showing how to do it. I couldn't find any actual YouTubes about Indians on the net. However, I did find one on a Harley that is similar because both have ABS systems. Now, apparently, with an ABS system, there's fluid in the ABS system and it needs to be evacuated. And the only way to really do that is to go to a dealer, and God knows what they charge. So, according to what I gleaned off the net, is that replace the fluid, front and rear, and then go for a ride, activate the ABS about half a dozen times. What that does is apparently evacuates the old brake fluid out of the ABS system, and then you come back and then go through and replace it again. So the cost involved, maybe 2 bottles of brake fluid, so probably $26 compared to hundreds at the dealer. Plus you learn how to learn more about your bike. I've removed the, I don't know what you call them, skirts over the calipers on both sides, revealing the caliper. And there's the bleeding nut. Also removed the pannier off the left hand side to give me access to the rear caliper, which is just there, and all I need to do is access this bleeding nut that's there. So when you're bleeding brake systems, you should always do the caliper furthest away from the reservoir. The reservoir is up here on the right hand side. So the front will be doing the left hand side first, followed by the right. And the rear reservoir is down here. So when dealing with brake fluid, put decent covers over the area where the reservoir is, because brake fluid is pretty corrosive, and I've got to get this reservoir level. So the tools needed for this is basically, that's it, 13mm socket to remove the nuts off the skirt, and a 10mm ring spanner to remove the nut that's on the inside of the skirt. A screwdriver for the reservoir, and a 10mm open-ended or ratchet for the bleeder. Now normally when I do brake fluid changes, I just use a gravity feed. I attach a line to the bleeder and let it run into a canister. It's a bit time consuming, but you just got to let gravity run its course and evacuate. So I've invested in a eBay vacuum pump. So this part here attaches to the nipple. There's the vacuum pump, and when you release the nipple, the bleeding nut, or bleeding screw I should say, the vacuum then evacuates the brake fluid into the reservoir, and that's a bit of new brake fluid, so we'll see what the colour is like when we get there. and a couple of bottles of .4. I don't think the brand's that important because it's all the same. .4 is .4, and that's what its specs are. A couple of bottles to make sure that when you're topping the reservoir that you don't run out halfway through. So I don't know the actual volume off the top of my head, but I can't see it being huge. I would say half a bottle for the rear and maybe a bottle for the front. We'll see. Well, I've just removed the reservoir cap. Colour of the fluid doesn't look too bad. But the top of the cap you can see condensation, and water or condensation and brake fluid don't mix, not in a brake system. So obviously needs to be changed. I have noticed that the front brakes haven't been as good as they should have been or could have been, and it looks like it's for some reason just over the minimum. I'll just level that up a bit more. Well, the vacuum is gradually evacuating the fluid. I think I've nearly got rid of all the air that was in there. Keeping an eye on this, keeping it topped up. So that's the comparison of new fluid on the right and what's come out of the system. So it's not filthy, but it's not clean either. So continue on. So this is the rear brake, and the fluid on the right is what came out of the rear, and the container on the left is brand new. So there's a bit filthy.